technical problems getting on the air tonight. If you are staying with us, thanks for joining us. Thanks for bearing with us. One of these days we'll get it right, I promise. Although it really wasn't our fault. CJ, are you there? Yes, you're still here. Am I still here? What's that? Oh, no, it's not you. No, I'm just trying to keep from having a heart attack at this point from running around. We had to go to the technical difficulties page, which we didn't actually have. And I've been running around like a madman trying to restore everything, and because we actually had a picture and we had no sound. We actually had the internet completely drop out of the building just before we were going to go on the air. And I know that sounds like a story because every week there's something else that goes wrong just before we're going to go on the air. But I don't know. We might have to move our time slot to something other than Thursdays, because Thursday just seems like a bad day around here.
It's always something with you, Joe.
If you are just joining us and you'd like to be part of the conversation tonight, you can give us a call. That telephone number is area code 951-356-6882. That's 951-356-6882. And we will put you on the air. Even if you just want to laugh at us, point and laugh, because there's always some catastrophe befalling us just before we go on the air. If you'd like to come down and make your own television show, and hopefully you'll have much better luck than we do, you can come down. We will train you how we can show you how we can help you do that, and it's all for the unbelievably low price of very, very cheap.
Cheap.
Whoa, you guys were right on cue with that. That's pretty cool. If you want to learn more about that, give us a call Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's when the business offices here at Pasadena Media are open. And that telephone number is area code 626-794-8585. That is 626-794-8585. Once again, this is coming to you from the studios of Pasadena Media and the facilities of Pasadena Community Access Corporation. This is Mixified Media's Around Midnight Somewhere. All right, Todd, what are you doing?
Just passing the time.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, we were discussing earlier the fact that it actually rained in Southern California, which was pretty impressive considering it is just about springtime and it's now finally beginning to look like winter here. And in other news, more nationwide, so that something Chevelle can get behind, Weinstein got convicted. I don't think I want to know
and
about that.
That's one of them.
I don't even know where to go with that. Yeah, so like I was starting to say, Weinstein was convicted in New York court and sentenced to 23 years in prison for a single count of rape, and immediately claimed chest pains and didn't actually make it into prison. He's in the prison infirmary now.
I mean, if anything's going to do it, that'll do it.
I'd
I'd be like, oh, damn, I'm coming, Georgia. Wait, what's her name?
Who?
Elizabeth. Oh, I'm coming to see you.
Oh. Well, that would have been good. And incidentally, he's not done yet, because although he has been convicted in New York, he is now, Los Angeles has begun, or perhaps California, but no, I think it's Los Angeles, has begun the process of extradition. They want to bring him here to L.A. to stand a new trial on all new charges, which could lead to another 28 years in prison, hopefully served consecutively and not concurrently, here.
Do we think there's any chance of him surviving that initial sentence?
Does it matter?
I mean, if we're just wasting a bunch of taxpayer time doing a kangaroo court just to make everyone feel better.
You know what? Huh. That's an interesting thought, but we are discounting one important factor, and that is the victim actually feeling as though justice has been served. And yes, technically he's already been convicted and he's going to go to prison, but he's not been convicted of the charges that he faces for the women that he assaulted here in California. And oh, yeah, I don't think that's what the Me Too movement is.
I mean, that's why we're in this situation in the first place.
Huh. Okay.
Huh? Huh?
Um,
It's all bad. Yep, it's all bad. What do you want?
Speaking of bad to worse, then there's COVID-19. And in case you have somehow been living in under a rock or in a cave or something, it is pretty much taken over the United States. Of course, we're here in
pretty much everywhere, right?
Yeah,
Not
well,
just
yeah,
the
that
United
too.
States.
But I mean, I don't think people outside of the U.S. are watching us right now. I'd love for that to be the case, but I'm not holding my breath over that one. That may very well be too. But that having been said, we are in the microcosm of Southern California right here, and so bringing it very close to home. In the last day, the governor of this state has enacted what amounts to I'm not even sure what you would want to call it at this point. He's basically created something tantamount to an edict, an order that basically says that most of the governments are effectively, well, most operations within the state are coming to a halt because there can be no congregation of people larger than 250 unless they can be 6 feet apart, and that's not possible in a lot of towns in Southern California. You're lucky if you get 6 inches of space. So there you go. Yeah. So there's all kinds of interesting stuff going on, and I guess we'll get into that more in a little bit. But even bringing it closer to home, in here in lovely Pasadena, they have now announced their first full-blown case of COVID-19, aka the coronavirus, aka the Wuhan virus. And so we now know that there are people right here in the city that are infected. And where there's one, there's got to be more because there's just too many people in this teeny little town for it not to have already exploded.
Man, Joe's spitting out all those AKAs. I thought we were talking about the Wu-Tang all of a sudden.
What?
Wu-Tang!
No, I don't get it. Go ahead, keep talking though.
Yeah, what's up? AKA Wusan Virus? Come on, that's a pretty good rap name. I'm gonna start going by that. Yeah, that sounds like a plan right there. I mean, even if you write a cool rhyme and then, I don't know, the coronavirus goes away, then you could just say it was actually about Corona beers.
You know,
I mean, it's what you call evergreen.
wouldn't that make like a good hip hop group name, COVID-19?
It's with like 19 people in it. Good one, Chevelle. COVID-19 up in the house. We're rolling deep in this fool. COVID-19, we don't play.
It's already been said that it spread super fast. How did that get so loud? Fun. Anyway.
What, your washing machine?
Do they no? Do they know if it can be transmitted by mosquitoes? Because if
What?
it lingers until spring and summer, and mosquitoes start biting people that have it, and then transmit it that way,
It's a
gonna be problem.
virus. It's
I
not
understand.
bloodborne. Originally they said it wasn't even airborne, but now they're discussing the fact that it may in
Bottom line is
fact
they don't
be
know anything
airborne
about
too.
it, and that it can mutate. So my question is, how long before mosquitoes start transmitting it?
I don't think that's going to be the biggest of our concerns, considering I can just be next to somebody on the bus and catch it. I'm really not worried about the mosquitoes at this point.
Well, that means that it can transmit within an immediate area, but mosquitoes travel.
So is this virus. People travel to get on airplanes. That's been the problem. That's why the travel industry is being decimated right now.
I'm sorry for making conversation, Joe. Stop yelling at me now,
That's
please.
nobody's yelling at you.
Oh my God, you guys know, seriously, I was literally going to go to Europe next week. All those plans are just decimated.
I don't have a
That's
dun
messed
dun
up.
dun. I need that.
So
How
do
come
you
we
get a
don't-
refund or something for that?
More like the drum rolls, like bum bum.
What the hell are you talking
You think you're gonna get some of that money back? But bum. You ain't getting nothing back,
that
sucker.
one works.
Yeah, that's about how that works.
Yeah, there is no refund. And speaking of money, the stock market has taken a massive,
Tanking.
plummet down as much as 2,200 points today.
What? I feel like I heard.
You heard?
I downheard it. I heard of people talking about how all those masks that people are going crazy for. They're all made in China.
Yeah, that was something I was
And-
wondering. It's like people are going out here buying stuff, and then
Yeah.
they're unknowingly spreading the disease even more.
Yeah, so we need to go out and buy stock in 3M, somebody local that builds stuff like that makes products like that.
Well, that's the problem. There is nobody local that makes that stuff anymore. We've outsourced it all, and now the Chinese need it, and they don't want to send it our way. And this is the problem. And there have been people talking about this for years now, that outsourcing all of these things is putting us in jeopardy because we're no longer self-sufficient. It was like that when we started outsourcing all of our own, of our oil. We started getting it from the OPEC nations instead of drilling around, which is one of the things that the Republicans and Trump have been talking about, and even Bush before that. We need to start drilling in our own country again. And the environmentalists, of course, say, no, we can't do that. But then the problem is then there's a massive epidemic like this or a pandemic, and suddenly all of the things that we were depending on coming from someplace else aren't coming from someplace else anymore.
I don't know. It kind of makes you realize that a lot of these political games people play, like there's real lives at stake. And I think they're really abusing this whole COVID-19 situation and turning it into a political situation when they really shouldn't. That's the last thing it should be. It should not be an opportunity to bash the president, should not be an opportunity to bash the House or the Senate. It should be an opportunity for somebody to do something, please. But the fact that there's a shortage of masks, I was reading an article and they said that if just the supply of masks that are available today were only used for medical professionals in those situations, they would only have enough to last 2 weeks if this thing spreads nationwide the way it's kind of expected to.
Yeah,
projected
exactly.
to.
It's not a question of if, it's just a question of when.
And then they also don't take into account the fact that when these medical workers start getting sick and people start dying and people start flipping out, I still don't understand. Maybe they're thinking about breathing through toilet paper. Maybe toilet paper has some mystical properties of filtering the virus that I'm unaware of.
Yeah, that is, and in fact, we were going to talk about that at some point this evening. Where has all the toilet paper gone? I don't
know, man.
I'm at a loss. I'm totally at a loss.
I went shopping actually a couple of times this week. I went to the local Megalomart and I went to the Costco, and both of them are short on water, which I kind of expected. You should have water anyway. Particularly for California,
well,
kind of
let's take a
illustrates how
step back.
important it is to have water.
I
But there
don't
was
mean to
no
interrupt you, but
water
I
and
wanted
there
to
was no
say this
toilet
about
paper.
water. What is the deal with the water? Coronavirus is not going to come out of your tap. Why are
Well,
people running around buying up all the bottled water that they can get their hands on?
Yeah, what are you gonna
If
do when
you're
the water
quarantined or if
company
you're told
goes
you
out?
have to leave somewhere, you got to have water. Water is the one thing you have to have, or
Again,
you will die.
take
with
a
or without
bottle,
it.
fill it up from your tap. You don't need to raid the local grocery store for bottled water.
What happens when you
What
turn
if
on
you're
the
not
tap
home?
and nothing happens?
Who's going to shut off the water?
When there's nobody there to turn on the water at the water company.
So now we're
then
talking
it's
about
gonna
the
get
zombie
cut off.
apocalypse. You're saying the zombie
No, it's just
apocalypse is
about
Yes.
being
actually upon us.
That's exactly what I'm
nobody's
saying.
you need to go and buy an entire garage full of water, but you do need to be prepared. You should have water in your vehicle. You should have water in your home that you have access to. And it might be, if things go crazy and people get stupid and decide they want to start looting and abusing each other, that might be the thing that shuts off your water. Maybe somebody comes in at gunpoint and says they're going to take over your house.
Well, see, now it's
So,
funny that you
all
mentioned
the Democrats
that.
are going to be kind of left out in the wind because, they're all about that gun control. So all the Republicans are going to be in their houses like, nah, this is mine now.
Several of the communities here in the Southland that are largely or predominantly populated by Asian Americans have taken to basically emptying out shelves, but it isn't toilet paper and it isn't water, it's guns and ammunition.
I don't blame them.
Because they fear reprisals from people who are going to accuse them of being the cause of this COVID-19 virus. And actually, we have something along that where it's already begun. We'll discuss that a little later on this hour too. But yeah, so they're going around, and you know what the weapon of choice is shotguns. Interestingly enough,
Of course.
They're readily
Take out as many
available.
as you can, as quickly as you can.
Yeah.
You can't get machine guns out here anymore.
now that's true. You can't.
Well,
but
not up there.
but it's like you said, you don't blame them. It is a genuine concern because people are already demonstrating a proclivity for irrational behavior. I at least can sort of understand going around and cleaning out all of the hand sanitizer, though not completely. I mean, it's almost as if soap just dropped off the map. Somehow suddenly antibacterial soap doesn't matter anymore. We all must have
just
hand
hot
sanitizer.
Water is oftentimes good enough.
No, it's not.
So,
You cannot sanitize yourself with hot water. You'd have to burn the flesh off of your body in order to sanitize yourself with hot water.
I did say hot.
So, but an antibacterial soap is probably every bit, if not more, effective than hand sanitizer alone because your antibacterial soap is used in conjunction with water, and then you rinse everything off with the
Well,
hand
okay, well, here's
sanitizer.
the thing,
You
though.
rub it on, it kills the bacteria, but the
Antibacterial does not do
bacteria, the dead
anything.
bacteria, is still on your hand.
Antibacterial doesn't do anything for viruses. Viruses are not bacteria. So the soap may work, but you don't need antibacterial. You just need soap.
Okay, that's a very valid point. That's very good. But so the hand sanitizer
Well,
thing, I sort of see that one. Don't get the water. I don't understand the toilet paper.
Well, I mean,
that is
how-
completely irrational behavior.
Yeah, do you constantly have access to running water in a sink with hot water in it and soap? Sometimes you're on the go and you want to feel like you're preventing the virus. So, yeah, you have a bottle of hand sanitizer in your pocket and you use it and you're like, I don't want to shake hands. I mean, maybe you're not shaking hands, but you're, touching door handles and bathroom stalls and yada, yada. You got to have something a little extra.
Okay, if we've gotten to that level of concern, maybe we should all be donning a pair of latex gloves then. Then you don't need the hand sanitizer. You put on the gloves when
Don't
you're
say
done
that
touching
too
things. You
loud.
take
I
the
don't
gloves
want
off.
there to be a run on all the latex gloves.
I'm surprised it hasn't happened already.
Well, I got mine, so I'm okay.
I've heard people talking about how those little masks that they say everybody's buying up, it's not really even going to help you against something like this. They're just stopping people, people that actually need them, like people who visit old folks' homes. Like they don't have enough masks. So the people that are going in to visit Nana, and they're like, hey, usually, you have a mask to protect you from infecting your loved ones at the old folks' home, but right now we got no masks, so I don't know.
Again, at least in this particular instance, there is a semi-practical purpose to having a mask, but you don't need every mask you can get your hands on. Because the thing is that the mask itself doesn't really filter down to the point where you can't inhale the microbes necessary to make you sick. But what it will do is prevent you from sticking your finger up your nose. If you're wearing the face mask, you can't put your finger in your mouth. And that is generally how you end up getting infected, is by coming into contact with an infected surface. Because remember that this thing can exist on a hard surface for more than a week, upwards of a week. So you come in contact with this infected surface, and then you stick your finger in your ear or your eye or your nose or your mouth or
Well, yeah, that's what
someplace.
like-
And,
like I said, we were contemplating traveling next week, and we're like, I don't really fear the virus as much now that I'm canceling my plans. I didn't fear the virus as much as I feared not being able to get back in the country. And the problem is with my daughter being a 4-year-old. Yeah, as much as I tell her, hey, don't touch your mouth, don't touch your eyes, don't touch your nose, whatever. Yeah, she's not gonna actively think about that. And we're like, yeah, we got to put a mask on her.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. That's
well,
right.
whenever Trump talks, Chevelle stops and listens. He doesn't.
Mr. Trump, you're right.
Yeah. Of course, I'm surprised that Trump isn't running around talking about the COVID virus and saying
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff.
He actually did
I mean,
do
It
that.
didn't happen.
He kind of has, right? It's like they're just trying to make me look bad.
yeah,
It's all fake.
yeah, like global warming. It doesn't really exist.
Well, I mean, this whole situation it's been blown out of proportion in one sense, and it's not being taken seriously enough in another. The way that they're reporting it is not helpful. They're not really giving people information that will help to make smart decisions about how they should be trading this situation. And then when they add to that the political thing, what that does is you have an entire nation of people who are genuinely concerned about this, and now you're driving a wedge between those people and creating this we want to help but we want to do it this way, and we want to help but we want to do it that way situation. That's not helpful to anybody. The only way that any of this is going to work is if everybody agrees on how to solve this problem. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe we should just go ahead and let 3% fall off.
Yeah, what we got to do is get that antidote and get it to Tom Hanks.
Well, I'm surprised that somebody hasn't. Let me take a step back. One of the things that has apparently been the way this virus is working is that it is most likely to severely affect those who are either immunosuppressed or have an underlying respiratory condition, since this virus does, for the most part, attack the respiratory system. And it seems to have its strongest hold on the elderly community. Those are people 65 and over seem to be the ones most likely to fall victim. The
these are the same populations that are generally affected by all kinds of illnesses. So none of that is
the
new.
weak and infirm, basically, yeah. But
Okay,
so
boomer.
if you're like 30 years old or so, you're probably going to be okay. And interestingly enough, it doesn't seem to have any severe effects, thank goodness, on children so far. It has. They generally present with something like a runny nose. It's basically tantamount to having your average run-of-the-mill cold, and they get over it relatively quickly, and that's the end of it. It's only the elderly population that seems to be at real risk. I'm surprised somebody hasn't circulated the conspiracy theory that this is the U.S. government's way of trying to make sure that Social Security doesn't go belly up.
I've thought that,
That
actually.
has been circulated. There are definitely people who are saying that it is a government manufactured, and I might agree with that.
Except that they think it started in China, so that would have to be government manufactured by the
actually,
Chinese
today,
government.
A Chinese representative, a representative for the Chinese government said that it was probably the U.S. military that took it to China. So there's more of this he said, she said type thing where no one wants to take responsibility. Everybody wants to pass the buck and pass the blame, and they're turning this into a situation that it doesn't need to be. It does not need to be that situation.
How would the U.S. military have brought it over there when they've actually they've traced it back to a market where they sold what they called a wet market, I believe was the term that they used, where they sold a lot of seafood and that type of thing.
And bat.
Well, see,
They're
people
eating
seem
a
to
lot of barbecued bat.
Ugh. Again with the barbecued bat.
I'm gonna try and
It's like
forget
the
you
opening
said that.
scene for Blade Runner. Everybody's running around in the rain with blank big plastic things over their head or something like that.
That sounds accurate.
I honestly, I don't care who did it. At the end of the day, it's people that did it, whether it was the U.S. or whether it was China. It really makes no difference. People are dying, and what is really going to make the difference is the response. And if the response is let's go fight them because they did this, I don't think that's the right response. I think the response should be we need to come together and help each other, take care of the situation, and then when we're all good and we're all healthy, we can go back to beating each other in the face again.
Oh wait! I think we have the U.S. government attempting to respond right now to the situation. They're in the process of calling in emergency reinforcements right now.
Oh, man.
How long do you suppose it'll take for them to get?
That would be an awesome bed for Wuhan virus for their hit single.
Wuhan virus. No, I thought it was COVID-19.
AKA COVID-19, AKA Wuhan virus.
I don't know, man. It's all messed up. At the end of the day, it's all messed up.
Oh, wait, that was the end of the hit right there.
I'm trying to
outsmart my autofocus.
Trying so hard to think of a good protect your neck kind of a title for a rap
Protect
song.
your neck. I'm
But
sorry,
I was
what?
like, yeah, that's like a Wu-Tang song, right? Protect your neck.
Oh, I see.
You gotta have like a protect your esophagus, fool. I don't know. Nothing's coming to me.
I think it'd just be get your mask on.
Get your mask on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one, Joe. Actually, that is decent. Get your mask on.
But that's not Wu-Tang though. That's more Timbaland, Missy Elliott.
I mean,
Oh, okay.
we
All
can't
right.
bite them 100%. You're getting
Okay.
at least 50% of your inspiration from them.
Or we could just do what all the new rappers are. We could call it Molly.
Yeah, this is really coming together.
Yeah, seriously,
I'm
we
loving
got a
this.
hit single on our hands
love
right
it.
now.
Loving everything that's happening right now. What's up? COVID-19 over here. Give me some of that Dom Perignon.
This is terrible.
It is. But what, I mean, what else can you do at this point? If you're not laughing about this, you're gonna cry, or you're shuttering yourself up in your house and trying to wrap it. I mean, you imagine that there's probably somebody right now who's trying to wrap their house in tinfoil and plastic wrap, fearing that the zombies are coming and God knows what else. And if they can just create a tight enough bubble, maybe they'll be the only survivors.
I don't know. I gotta admit, it does concern me. Like, I'm not at the point where I'm ready to run out and buy a bunch of shotgun shells and toilet paper, but
That's good because you won't find any.
well, yeah. Well,
You're already too late.
Yes.
I'm not in California, bro.
They're all gone.
I just gotta go next door.
I don't want to know what that means.
It's frustrating because of the way that people are responding to it more than anything else. I think it's unfortunate that this is happening during an election year, because when people could be talking about real issues, and I'm not saying this isn't one, but this is like, you can't sit here and argue over what you would have done for any of the candidates that are in there. The president is the president, so he can do whatever it is he could have done. The senators are still in the Senate, so they could do whatever it is they could do. The Congress people are still in Congress, so they could be doing something. All the governors, the mayors, all of these people, they have the opportunity to be doing something. And I feel like a lot of them are just responding to the media hype and the inflamed fear, rather than actually looking to some solid solutions and giving people. Sometimes practical advice is going to be hard advice, because it might be that you need to say, screw the economy, we don't want people to die, shut down your businesses, and everybody stay home for 2 weeks.
I want to know
Well, that's what Italy did, right?
Trump is still
Italy shut down everything.
That's what China did. If you look at, there was this one report I was reading, some guy, I don't remember who exactly wrote the article, but he had all these graphs and all this other stuff, and they showed the comparison between the number of reported cases and the number of actual cases, the period of time when the deaths were at their peak versus when they fell off. And the deaths started to fall off dramatically after Wuhan got locked down. And people are like, oh my gosh, they're locking people in their homes and they're threatening to shoot people for leaving. Yeah, but that stopped the epidemic in China.
I want to know.
At that point in time, it was all over the cruise ships and everything, so it was pretty much game over. But you get to Italy, everybody likes to kiss each other. So I don't. I'm not
in the
surprised.
face of the economy
it's
dropping by
interesting. I never thought about it till just now,
2,200
but-
points, I want to know if Trump and his administration still want to take credit for the economy.
I think, I don't care. This is what I'm talking about. Like, we're sitting here wondering about what Trump's going to do, what effect it's going to have on the economy. These are the wrong questions to be asking right now. We shouldn't be asking about, is Trump going to take responsibility for this? Or, if it makes you feel better.
Yeah, you're right. We shouldn't, because we know he's
I
not.
created the Wuhan virus. I'm responsible for COVID-19. I am Corona. If that makes you feel better, like, is that going to make anybody feel better if he does it? Because then you're just going to spend the next 4 years pointing fingers at people, and nothing's going to get done. People are going to die. It's not the time to be having those conversations. It's not the time to be fighting over politics. And I wish the politicians knew that. And quite honestly, I was thinking about this earlier today. I'm thinking in a situation like this, I think I would rather have a Trump than a Bernie.
No.
Because
No.
I just,
Then
when
there's
you look,
something
and
wrong
I
with
understand
you. You're
he's a
certainly not
democratic socialist, but anytime the government steps in and takes something over, they screw it up. And I think a lot of times the best thing the government can do is tell people this is what we suggest you do to take care of this situation, and stop trying to make it so that you're handling the entire world's problems. Every area is different. If you're in a community that has a population of 10 million, you can't do the same stuff a population of 10,000 is going to be able to do. It's not a function that would apply in both situations. So you have to have solutions.
Nice guy.
And the purpose of federal government is to empower the more local governments to do the job that they need to do. And then the responsibility of the citizens is to have responsible persons in power locally. If you have a problem with your mayor or something like that, then that's where it's time to be concerned. I'm not worried about Trump. I'm not as worried about Bernie, because I'm going to do me. And whatever situation they put me in, I'm going to do me. And if they don't like it, they'll probably lock me up and I'll just do me in jail. Ooh, that didn't sound right.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff.
He was really plowing through all that stuff.
I like that. Was a good choice of words, plowing through doing that was very, very good, Todd. Yeah. So you have fun with yourself in jail, CJ, and say hi to Weinstein for us.
You do you in jail.
Yeah,
I'll be out here.
Right. Oh man. Oh.
I mean, one good thing I heard, some of my coworkers talking about is this idea that most companies have about sick time, and maybe this is going to start opening up conversations and ideas to new ideas about how much time people get off for sick time, because
that'll be the day.
Yeah, every business gives you maybe a week of sick time for the entire
year.
For the
That's
year.
Insane.
And you're supposed to make that work. And is that enough for anyone to get through? If you get one bad bout of anything, you're not going to have any more sick time for the rest of the year. What are you going to do?
I got to be honest with you. I don't think it's really a function of sick time. I think it's got more to do with the entire healthcare system. I don't think the solutions that the Republicans are putting forth are going to solve it. I don't think the solutions that the Democratic Socialist has in mind are going to fix it. At some point, we just got to decide, like, if we're serious, and I've been saying this for a long time, if we're really serious
You're wrong
people
about that.
being healthy, then let's just get people healthy. It should not be something we feel we have to charge an arm and a leg for. Schools shouldn't have to be charging people $150,000 in order to get your medical degrees. Give them the skills they need to go out and save lives, and let them do that. Hospitals shouldn't be charging hundreds of thousands of dollars. In fact,
now it's beginning to sound like me.
If you really want to see healthcare costs go down, pull government out of it. Because the reason the hospitals and the doctors charge so much is because Medicare pays for it. If the government said we're not paying that money anymore and you had to rely on private industry, they'd have to bring the prices down, because citizens aren't going to pay that money.
How many times have I said that government and healthcare should not be for-profit industries, and now he's sitting there talking about how they shouldn't be allowed to charge that much money?
Not be for-profit industries. I'm saying people need to be honest about what they really believe. If you think
I am honest about what I believe, there should not be a for-profit industry.
I'm not saying it should be a for-profit industry, but it should not be a government-run entity either. Name one government-run thing that runs well. One.
The DMV.
Public. Wait.
There's not one. The only thing I could think of, and the amount of waste that happens there, would probably be the military. I mean, they're a lot more strict when it comes to the individual level, but even there, they have tons of waste. Like, they've got this F-35 jet they've been trying to build for who knows how long. They've spent billions of dollars on, probably trillions. We haven't seen it flying across the airwaves yet.
But you are wrong about the sick problem, and because you said you don't see a social, what did you call it, a democratic social? Yeah, okay, well, they do actually have a solution for that. They want to institute this plan where they just kind of take money and give it to everybody all the time. They all get a certain amount of money. So if you're just getting money from the government in general, kind of like, welfare for everybody, then you don't have to go to work, and thereby don't have to worry about how many sick days you have.
Yeah, but also you have a lot more people getting sick because you're sitting around popping cheese puffs all day long. People need to work. People need to work, and there is a balance between what you do for a person and what you don't do for a person. You can't just the problem with it, and I'll give you this example.
I suddenly hear Janet Jackson in the back of my head, but anyway.
I'll give you this example. Let's just take the welfare system.
Okay, let's take that.
From my own personal experience. Not even take welfare. Let's take healthcare. Because when my first son was born, I didn't have enough money to take him to see the specialist and everything he wanted. I qualified income based for state health care. So I went down to the Social Security office to try to apply for it, and the lady literally told me that I was not allowed.
Yes, because you're not a woman.
Because I'm not a woman and because I'm married. My wife would have to go. So when you create a system that's designed to drive a wedge into the family unit, which is the one unit that actually holds societies together, is what societies are built on. When you break that down, it's no surprise the entire system falls apart.
But see, now there's a loophole. You should have gone back down to that office and said, I'm not a woman, but I identify as one. So give me the money.
Yeah, it was a little ahead of that time. I might be able to do that today in California. I can't do that here.
That's true. Yeah.
It's just that's what I mean when I like. It all comes back to them being greedy. If Bernie sells 2 of his houses and gives all that money away to a charity, he might get some respect and maybe even a vote from me. But until he's willing to do that, I'm not. Well, I work in Washington, and I want to have a vacation house. Well, I want a vacation house too, but I'd like to start with having a house. Can I get a house?
Yeah, that would be
good. I can't
good.
even get a house. You got a vacation house, your house that you go to for work, and then the house you go and live. Man, nah, bro, nah. And then you want to talk about how you want to raise my taxes so that you can continue to live in your 3 houses? We're not having this conversation, Bernie. Sorry.
I just realized that we're like way over time here. We need to actually take a break because we haven't done that yet. So why don't we take a break and then we can come back and continue this conversation.
Don't get me started on Joe Biden.
Yeah, you are watching.
He doesn't even know where his house is.
You are watching Around Midnight somewhere, and I don't know.
By the time we get in the air, it's going to be midnight.
We might not be back right after this break, only because the COVID-19 virus might take us all out before then. But anyway,
Elizabeth,
if you want to get in on the conversation, you can give us a call, 951-356-6882. We are live if you are watching Thursday, March the 12th, and we will be back right after this.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Oh, Vanessa. You gonna text her back?
Nope. I'm high. I'm gonna hit the treadmill.
You're already making good decisions when you're high.
We need to go meet the guys. I'm lit. Can you drive?
Nope. I'm high. How about they come over?
Where?
Don't make an exception when it comes to driving. If you feel different, you drive different.
The lost cause. The ignored.
The impossible.
Meet your match. A Go-to-World Girl Scout identifies a big problem, creates a project, and takes the steps to solve that problem.
We stand out because we stand for more. Gold Award Girl Scouts don't just change the world for the better, we change it for good.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
All right, we are back right here, and we actually have a telephone call coming in, so I guess we're going to grab this phone call and see what we get. Good evening, and thank you for calling. You are on the air on Around Midnight. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello. How are you doing? Hi, guys, everybody.
Pretty good. Who are we talking to this evening?
This is Eugene.
Lugene.
Hi, Lugene.
We haven't talked to Lugene in forever, I think. For those of you who don't know, Lugene used to call the show a long time ago. when we used to.
Dude, you're kind of aging me here. I'm sounding like, oh yeah, I'm just old enough to die from COVID-19. Thank you.
Stay safe out there, Eugene.
I'm not. Are you still on the COVID-19 or on the politicians? Because I think they're all kind of.
The answer is yes.
Entwined.
I'm never on top of a politician. Gross.
Oh, shit. Dude, really? You haven't changed it. Now, specifically, I'm so sick of, out of everything but stupidity. And as I'm probably Chevelle on this government thing, but it has been my experience that if you create a diversion in one place, you don't know what's going on someplace else. And I think that's the crux of this whole thing. I honestly believe there's some stuff going on in Washington or with Trump or whoever in the heck is playing with the government this week.
I'm pretty sure that's what every magic trick ever is based on.
Yeah, well, that's in this direction.
Yeah.
So I honestly believe that they're taking this to, I mean, one of my questions was, why are we throwing celebrities' names in now? Is that making it more pertinent? Does it make it more newsworthy?
Well, when you say celebrities' names, are we talking about the fact that Tom Hanks announced that he and his wife have tested positive for the virus? Is that the celebrity that we're referring to?
Well, him, and I do have the name of the, who was it that was touching all the microphones?
Oh, that was the Utah Jazz player. Yeah, that guy's, I can't remember his name either off the top of my head, but clearly he's not the sharpest tool in the shed.
No, he is not. But the idea, I'm just wondering why, I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people sick. There are people dead. Why are we throwing celebrities' names in on this now? Does that rivet the attention of people or whatever? I still honestly believe that something else is going on that is going to slap us right in the face because we are so concentrated on this particular issue.
So
what's your take on that?
Something's bubbling right under the surface.
Well,
yeah.
I can't imagine. Certainly, I think there are going to be lots of issues that come as a result of this whole situation. You know, there's been discussion on the world platform that the Saudi Arabian government is on its deathbed because it's literally made up of older people that are infected and not dealing well with the COVID-19 virus. And so that's going to set the stage for a younger generation that is full of their own ideals that are not consistent with the status quo and could result in serious instability in the Middle East before the year is out. So, yeah, I think there's the potential for a lot of things to happen. On the home front, as Chevelle pointed out earlier, you've got the election that's going to be coming up at the end of this year. And who knows whether or not this will instill confidence in the American public and make them want to reelect Trump, or whether there will be dissatisfaction with the way things have been handled, and that will push people to select the alternative. I don't know.
Well, if they start doing the things that they were talking about doing, oh man, if they start handing out sick days for everyone, everybody gets 2 weeks of sick time on the government,
oh, Lord.
That might start to sway people one way or...
Well, there's also the whole thing about global warming that doesn't exist, so who knows what's...
What? What are you talking about?
Oh, come on. You're the first person to say global warming doesn't exist.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with this?
Because it does exist. It does exist. Because Eugene, our caller, is suggesting...
You need to actually take a moment and please clarify exactly what your terms are. If you're talking about it got hot outside, okay, yes, the globe is warm. If you're talking about some global epidemic whereby we're all going to be dead in 10 years, no, not going to happen.
There is a global epidemic. The polar ice caps are melting at an accelerating rate.
Right. And I'm freezing my butt off every winter. So whatever.
Wow.
Can we not go down this road again?
We're going to go down this road again because the globe is getting hotter.
But this is exactly what I'm talking about when we should be focusing on this specific issue because it is, in fact, a global pandemic epidemic.
How do you know that the two things do not go hand in hand?
Anybody in the United States of America should be complaining about global warming if they have a cell phone, an electric automobile, an automobile, period, or anything else, because all of the materials for all of that stuff come from all over the globe where the restrictions are a lot less than they are in the United States.
Is it not entirely possible that the reason some of these very strange viruses are coming out of dormancy and making leaps?
Creating all of these problems are being paid for by the stuff you have in your pocket.
Is it not possible that all of these viruses that are suddenly becoming are coming out of dormancy and making the leap to the human leg might be inspired by the fact that the planet is getting warmer?
No, that's not the case.
And where's your scientific proof that it's not the case?
Well,
you don't have any.
Okay, can I give it to you, or you want to just hear yourself talk?
Go ahead.
You have the fact that this virus started in the Wuhan province, which happens
Wait,
to be
you just
home
told
to...
us that the U.S. government dragged it over to China.
No, I told you the Chinese government said the U.S. government dragged it over to China. Try to keep up, Joe. Okay.
Wuhan?
So you have the fact that the WIV, which is the Wuhan Institute of Virology, that's basically their version of the CDC.
What?
They're weaponizing viruses. They actually requested a patent. And this is, you just read in the comments right there. That if you, it always comes back to following the money. Who's going to provide the treatments for this? Where's this cure going to come from, and who owns those patents? Because if you go and you trace it, they actually applied for a patent in the U.S. and apparently it's connected to a university in Texas.
Who is they?
Wuhan, China. This is something
Not
that
the
we have all
Wu-Tang
known
myself.
about the pharmaceutical industry for a
Wuhan
long
clan?
time. They never try to cure anything, and when they run out of diseases to cure, they'll manufacture one, or they'll just treat the side effects that all of their cures are giving you. You have to go and look at that. If you're not looking at that, then
so
you're really
now
not
you're
serious about
suggesting
addressing
that
the
this whole thing was created by a foreign government pharmaceutical agency for the sake of selling pharmaceuticals.
Agency. But let's go ahead and let's make a real connection. If you want to talk about global warming, here is your real connection to global warming.
Okay.
Global warming is a direct result of industry. Period. It has nothing to do with the fact that I got a car that gets 15 miles per gallon. It has nothing to do with the fact that my neighbor might have an electric car where they can go 900 miles. Well, no, you'll never get that far in an electric car. My point is, these are industries. And because we have restricted these industries in the United States, they've taken these industries outside of the United States. So they do stuff on foreign soil because they know they can't get away with it here. There is not a single nation on this planet that does not have some international, if not directly American-based connection to some major corporation with all the little shadow fingers. And if you really want to get crazy about it, you can talk about the fact that our own government has done this stuff to its own people, historically and most likely present day. We use ourselves as guinea pigs. I'm not going to sit here and look for a solution from the people who created the problem. That's foolish.
But that's not the same as admitting the problem or claiming the problem doesn't exist, which is what you're doing. You just said global warming isn't real.
No, I said you need to define your terms.
Todd, did he not say global warming was not real?
He says a lot of stuff.
I know.
Your terms. Stop putting words in my mouth.
Lugene, what do you think about this, Lugene?
For anyone in America to sit here and argue about global warming, it's ridiculous.
About global warming, yes, Lugene.
Okay.
I'm trying to follow this ping pong game you guys have going. Yes, I do believe in global warming. It is real.
Tell me what it is,
despite the fact that.
Have you been outside, Chevelle? It's warm.
Yeah. It was pleasant. Oh, okay. All right.
All right. All right.
I'm sorry, Joe. I stand corrected.
Okay. So you're not saying it isn't real, are you? Or are you saying that the cause of it is, that's what you're disputing, the cause? of global warming?
I'm not disputing the cause. I'm not disputing the conditions. My biggest dispute, if I want to be very clear about my specific position on global warming, my biggest dispute with it is the so-called solutions. If they were serious about finding a solution for it, they would not be doing things like creating carbon taxes. They would not be doing things like finding new and exciting ways to monetize solving the problem. If they're serious about solving a problem, why is the first solution you go to finding a way to extract money from the community? That's not the right solution.
So how would you solve it? I'm just curious. How would you solve it?
Yeah, I would kind of like to hear that too, because, well, go ahead. You're on a roll here.
Personally, I don't think I can solve it. Secondly, if we're serious about solving it, we have to look at where the greatest contributions are coming from, and it's not the U.S. The U.S. maybe indirectly. But if you're talking about that, then that means every citizen in the United States of America has to be ready to hang up their cell phone, get out of their car, stop using pretty much any form of electronic communication, because all of the materials that are used in those devices are manufactured pretty much exclusively in China in many cases. China actually has control of areas in South America and Africa where they're pulling all the minerals. They ship those things to China, assemble all these parts, and then they come here so that you can get a cheap cell phone. If people are not serious about getting off of all of that stuff, I'm not having that conversation.
That essentially sounds like what we were mentioning earlier about nothing being made here in America. Yeah, it makes things a lot cheaper when you're importing all these things from, that are made with questionable labor methods.
Why is it cheaper?
But it
It's got
becomes
nothing to
very
do with
cheap.
The fact that because you would think it'd be more expensive to have something shipped, 8,000 miles across an ocean, the largest ocean on the planet, to bring it here and then throw it all on trains and ship it all over the country. You're telling me that that's cheaper than having it built in a factory in Texas?
Sure, just ask Amazon.
Yeah, when you're paying the kid who's making it pennies on the hour.
What I'm saying is, why is it cheaper? It's cheaper because we have made it so difficult to manufacture stuff in this nation that we just won't do it anymore. So unless people are willing, there's several sacrifices that have to be made. Number one, you got to be willing to have a factory in every city in the United States of America if you want to maintain this level of communication and production. Number two, you've got to make sure that you're going to sever all ties with other nations that are doing this, which includes China and India, which I believe are the two largest polluters presently. In fact, China, I believe, is by large the largest polluter on the planet, not only because of what they do in their own nation, but the stuff that they do in other countries, the destroying of rainforests, the mining throughout all over Africa. If you want to have this conversation, this isn't a U.S. conversation. Unless you can get China directly and seriously involved, it's pointless.
Chevelle.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I'm just saying, why are we arguing about this in America like this is our issue? It's not.
Chevelle, your shirt is still clashing with the text. I can't really read there around midnight. So I'm going to need you to
don't
take
do that. Please don't do that.
I saw way more than I wanted to just then.
Oh, we don't have a rating up here right now. Anyway, Lugene, so what did you call to say now that Chevelle has monopolized half of the conversation?
I have no idea. I seriously wanted to know, as members of the media, per se, what you guys thought about this whole situation of this becoming more of a media circus than a concern about disease.
Well, it's a media circus.
I have no idea what seeing 3 women in Australia fighting over toilet paper has to do with people who may or may not be dying from a pandemic.
Oh, I wish I had that video footage of the people fighting over the toilet paper. That would be great.
Of things you need to have. With all due respect, if I was going to stock up on supplies, it would more than likely be some sort of fermented beverage and maybe some meat.
Some sort of fermented beverage. Was that an underhanded way of saying wine?
Maybe a few Caronas.
All right, we'll start there and see where it goes.
Okay.
But I mean, toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and water. Yes, definitely. We need water no matter what we're doing. But toilet paper?
Yeah, it really unlocks the flavor of the whiskey.
On building a fort or something, I don't see what that's about.
Maybe people think they can filter the water through the toilet paper or something. I don't know.
Yeah, anybody who's ever tried that with toilet paper knows that's not the case.
I wouldn't even want to take a shot at that. But, and as far as water's concerned, get it out of the tap, boil it, let it cool. Geez. But I don't understand what, they're talking about the so-called, when the president got together, some sort of committee or something like that, and there were only 3 doctors on it. We've got one doctor saying this is not the flu, this is serious. We've got the president saying, it'll go away. And then he turns around and says, nobody in Europe is allowed to come home no more. I mean, who is deciding what is relevant and what isn't? And as a final thought, how do you guys feel about your families, your safety, and everything else? I mean, I don't understand having any kind of, we're going to play basketball, but there aren't going to be any spectators. What?
Well, they're not. The NBA has actually suspended its entire season now, and I think so did the NCAA.
March Madness is off.
Yeah, and let's see, the same thing has followed. The National Hockey League has suspended its season. What is it? Major League Soccer has also suspended its
E3 was canceled.
Oh yeah.
And
hey, so was RuPaul's Drag something or other in Vegas.
Yeah, Coachella. Yeah, E3, and that's not even happening until like June or something like that. And they're calling it now.
Well, I think they moved it to October for the moment, didn't they?
Where I live, there, it's an active seniors place. Every single thing they had scheduled for us for this month has been canceled.
So how many people have encased their residence in plastic wrap at this point where you live?
Well, I haven't counted yet. I haven't seen too many masks. Some people should be wearing simply out of, kindness to the rest of the world. But the coffee that we used to have coffee and water, sparklet, bottled water. They've taken that away. If you want a cup of coffee, you have to go to the office and ask for it.
Well, they probably took the bottled water away because they couldn't find it, along with the toilet paper and the hand sanitizer, because all the shelves have been cleaned out at all the local stores.
5-gallon bottle, from the cooler. We are not allowed to have anything here. I'm sorry. If this isn't a government conspiracy or something equally asinine, this has got to be the best student play I have ever seen, because none of this makes any sense and nobody's explaining it. And as I said, as members of the media, you are pretty much on the front lines to see the stupidity. I am trying, you know me. I have been very stupid more times than not, but I can't begin to figure this out. School without students, athletic events without spectators, sex without partners. What the hell?
I don't know about that. Oh, wait. Chevelle did say he was going to just, what did he say about what he was going to do in prison?
Yeah, he was going to do, he was just going to do him in jail.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Hey, and how do you feel about the fact that Disneyland has now been shut down?
Oh, man, I wanted to do a dance. I hate that place.
I was thinking that. I was like, how is it that that place has not been shut down if they are literally shutting everything down?
Well,
and that's another economic thing that's happening where...
all the tourist places, the Vatican City, nobody there. They have a picture with 1,000 people there. The next picture, there's nobody there.
Everybody got... Are you saying... Wait. Are you saying that everybody got the hell out of the Vatican City?
Oh, yes. Touché.
No, I think the Pope is still there.
Yeah, well, he's got his own Pope deal. It's just, I don't know. At first, we started laughing about it.
Yes, the camera's still on you.
As long as you're making that face, yes.
Yeah, but they also have flames burning above your head. I'm just saying, I mean, as men who are reasonably intelligent, I'm just saying, I don't, from my point of view, people are like, okay, do I have any underlying anything? No, you're going to have to shoot me. But, I mean, they made a report that a dog has caught it, damn it. A dog?
Oh yeah, I heard about that today. That it's
That's
actually
COVID-19.
gone. It's made the leap to canines now as well. Apparently, anything that the COVID virus can throw at humans, it can throw at dogs too. Which then leads to the question: are cats also at risk?
Wow.
So that's kind of frightening. You could
So
actually catch it from
here's,
your dog.
If you want to survive this,
your
here's
dog.
the only way people are going to make it out of this alive, okay?
Uh-huh.
You're going to have to find the nearest black person and do what they do. Because anybody who knows how to deal with a bunch of BS from a government, it's going to be black people. Find a black person, do what they do.
Thank you for putting that in. At least that gives us some kind of hope. I mean, I just as much as told our manager that. I said, black people are not afraid of disease. So, give me another
This
cup
is
of
like
coffee.
status quo, man. We're always in a state of, heightened awareness.
So I seem to recall you talking once, Chevelle, and maybe you were quoting another comedian that was saying something to the effect of the difference between black people and white people in one of those crisis situations, like an active shooter, is that you hear the gunshots and all the black people go running, but the white people stand up and look around to see what's going on, and that's how come they end up being the victims. And so is that going to be the case with sneezes now, where it's like, what was that? Did somebody just sneeze? What? Meanwhile, there are no black people in sight anywhere as soon as the first cough.
Is all throughout the South, somebody's got a pot of gumbo going. All throughout the West, there's some hot toddies and whatnot flowing, and the rest of y'all out here buying toilet paper. What the hell?
I still don't understand the toilet paper. Speaking of which, that was going to be the other topic of conversation this evening was, what are we going to do in a world without toilet paper? In a world without toilet paper.
I ask anybody from any nation that is east of the Atlantic Ocean. Hey, look, they're doing fine, bro. I'm saying in some cultures you just don't shake with the right hand. I'm just saying.
Wow. Okay.
Oh.
They know how to do this. This is not
new. If you're going to go there, dear, men are much luckier because shaking is usually effective. It's not that effective for the females among us. Unless you're like really talented.
So I mean, what's next? Do we all start walking around wearing diapers or something, or do we use newspaper?
Doing it. If black folks aren't doing it, don't do it.
I have seen some hilarious memes come out about this whole thing, and one of them was like a bag of leaves, and it said organic toilet paper.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Yes.
That's what you got to do.
It's getting to the point where it's becoming comical, and I don't really think that's a good idea because there is some, this is a situation. But when you take it to this point, and I'm thinking, okay, all these people are buying toilet paper. What happens if there is a downright emergency to the point of there's a flesh-eating virus, and everybody that comes in contact with anybody is going to die.
that was 2 pandemics ago already, Lugene. we're
Oh, I'm sorry. I haven't, I've been relatively healthy. I apologize. I have done the best I could to not be healthy, but apparently my body has other plans. So, I'm like, wow. But this is, I just don't see the point of dragging this to the point of a mockery. There are sick people out there, yes, and there are people dying. But as you said earlier, there's a certain demographic of people. By this reasoning, I've had pneumonia 3 times, I've had bronchitis 4 times, and I am still here. So either I'm doing something wrong, or they're not. No children have died as far as I know.
No, apparently the
the
virus
dog is
doesn't
still
seem to affect them nearly as severely as the elderly and people who are immunosuppressed.
With underlying conditions.
That doesn't sound weird.
With underlying conditions.
So you're thinking they genetically engineered this to not target children?
I'm just saying, it's not that they didn't genetically or engineer it to not target them, but they might have had a specific target in mind.
Well,
it's just it's all kind of sketchy.
Every time you turn around, you see, you hear. Now, I don't give it any validity because I don't honestly know. But they want to get rid of Social Security. Medicare, Medi-Cal, children don't usually have to worry about those sort of things, but the elderly do.
Yeah, but someday they're all going to get old.
Yeah,
But
but
you can ask anyone from the millennials down, and none of them are banking on Medicare. None of them. None of them are banking on Social Security. Absolutely none of them.
Well, none of them are thinking about it at all. Come on, they're not thinking about what they're gonna do when they're retiring. They're thinking about how much it sucks that Coachella's not gonna be going on.
Well, I think that's
oh man, bro.
Is that them or you that's upset about that?
Oh, Coachella.
I mean, I was planning on going to Knott's Berry Farm Boysenberry Festival, and as far as I know, that may not happen. And I've been waiting all year for boysenberry macaroni and cheese with peppers and whatnot.
I'm sorry, it's
but, you know,
berry mac and cheese? What did you just say?
Yeah,
they had a habanero mac and cheese with a boysenberry reduction, and it was absolutely delicious.
Wow.
It really was. I
good.
couldn't say it myself. They had boysenberry tortilla
You
chips.
guys got to check the comments on the YouTube.
Why don't you tell us a few of them?
Bro, the list is way too long.
Oh, come on, just pick a couple of them here. Any ones will do.
Okay, well, no, okay, all right. I'll just take the most recent one, Boysenberry Festival. Essentially, there is a consensus among the one person doing all the commenting that they're trying to kill us all.
Oh, I see. Okay, so it's one person just make all these comments.
Oh, you gotta look at this.
No, I can go with that. They're trying to kill us all.
I would, but our internet is busted over here, so.
I thought the weirdest thing I was going to hear about somebody eating today was a peanut butter and jelly and fries sandwich.
Yeah, that was odd, but it was
then
good.
I heard about mac and cheese and boysenberries.
Boysenberry reduction.
Yeah, I know. I thought the same thing. But my point being, they're closing down everything. Pretty soon, there's not going to be anything that calls for more than 3 people to gather anywhere. I mean, when they're closing down the churches, anybody going to close down church?
Yeah.
People meet there, and more. Some churches only have 20 people, and some have 20,000. Depends on the size of your jumbotron, I would imagine. But where does it end?
That's so very true.
Where does it end? And that's, I mean, and I'm saying that for people, especially you guys with smaller children.
Did she just call us small children?
She said we have small children.
Oh, okay, all right.
With smaller children, you horses neck. I'm just saying, I mean, Joe, you've always been an old soul. I don't think you were ever a child. But what about, how is that affecting you as a demographic? What do you tell your children? Have they started telling you can't send your kids? They were talking about kids, elementary school kids, who could not go to school because their schools are closing, and that leaves the parents to try and find babysitters or stay home from work. And
that's something that I'm actually going to have to deal with next week. Yeah. I actually already took time off from work. I had planned on traveling next week. I was going to come out to Cali, but that ain't going to happen for a number of reasons. Yeah. But then on top of that, they canceled all of the childcare, sports, athletics, and everything for the next 2 weeks during spring break. They were going to have the beginning of track season.
Oh my God.
All of that stuff's all been canceled.
Yeah, well, if they canceled school, I can tell you exactly how it would go with my kids. It would be like an instant dance party. They would be like, oh, yeah, no school. We're just going to be home all day playing video games and having all kinds of fun, ain't Dad?
Oh, man, I'm going to play so much Minecraft.
We're going to be good, Dad. We're going to be good.
Oh, man, we're going to rank up so many times in Fortnite.
Yeah, I think so.
You know how many times we might have prayed for that when we were younger? It's like, yes, snow days. Ain't no snow here, but snow days.
And I'd be like, what?
Time to do some homework.
Yeah, go do some homework.
And we'll just shut everything down. So,
I don't know, man. This all feels like shark bumps to me.
Remember the Omega Man.
They're just trying to get us all comfortable being under lock and key.
And there was nothing anywhere.
Well, you know what?
And to what purpose?
I'm sorry, did Chevelle say shark dumps?
Shark bumps.
What?
You never heard that term?
No.
Okay.
One of the things that sharks do before they bite the crap out of you is they'll come up to you and bump you to make sure you're actually food, and then they devour you. So it's like they're testing to see how you're going to respond. And that's what I feel like this is. They always push just a little bit further and then a little bit further and then a little bit further.
Well, speaking of shark bumps, it's about time for us to get bumped out of here because we're out of time.
I gotta go take a shark dump.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh. Okay. All right.
That sounds really painful.
Down Mars, but never a podcast.
On that note,
I'm gonna need a long podcast for this one.
Lugene, thank you so much for your call tonight. We really appreciate it, and we want to wish you a great night and the best of luck with the coronavirus.
Oh, definitely. Well, let's see. I have Jack Daniels, and I mean, for Sarah. Oh, because I don't have any hand sanitizers, so I have Jack Daniels. I'm not going to use it on my hands.
Jack Daniels, that's the same thing.
Yeah, well,
just throw some glycerin in there, you're good to go.
All right,
okay.
all right.
Sounds like a plan.
We gotta go.
Care, guys.
Just drink the Jack Daniels and then lick your hands.
And take care. And if you don't have any toilet paper, come see me.
All right. Call us again next week, Lugene. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye-bye. All right. This wraps up another exciting edition of Around Midnight Somewhere with myself, Joe Carbonetta, Todd Fluker, and Chevelle Devine. We want to take this opportunity to remind you to be safe, wash your hands. Remember, you're supposed to sing happy birthday while you're washing your hands. So you got 2 minutes, and that will hopefully kill off the germs and eliminate all the bacteria and the viruses and everything else. What else can we say except maybe don't drink and drive, stay mixified. Appreciate you joining us, and we hope we'll see you again real soon. Everybody stay safe out there.